Hey, what's up? My name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have a very fun and exciting video planned for you. So today I'm going to be trying a chapter of 6 new release thrillers that I am very excited about. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to be sampling some bottles of wine because today's video is sponsored by Bright Cellars. And so I thought this would just be the most perfect fitting video because what pairs better with books than wine? Am I correct? Yes. I have been using Bright Cellars since January of this year, and there's nothing I love more in this world than getting a bunch of wine in the mail and getting to try all of them. And wine tasting is one of my favorite hobbies. Bright Cellars matches you to wines from all over the world that are curated to your palate. All you need to do is take their quick and simple 7-question quiz so that they can gather your taste preferences and deliver you wines you're guaranteed to like. Bright Cellars is super convenient because they mail and deliver the wine straight to your door, so there's no need to go out to the liquor store and spend a bunch of money on a bottle of wine that you might not even like. It's also really helpful because with each bottle of wine, they also send you a wine education card, which tells you a little bit about what's in each bottle of wine, what is the best temperature that it's served at, and where the wine comes from. It also has some good pairing notes, like what they think this wine would taste good with. And it's just really useful to learn more about wine and be able to read up on all of these. And they have outstanding customer service because if you don't like one of the wines that you received, you can just let them know and they'll send you a replacement in your next shipment. Your wine comes in recyclable packaging that is plastic free and only with a small carbon footprint, meaning that your wine experience is 100% sustainable. One of the wines I'm pretty excited to try is this Tetra Chroma wine, and that's because this is the only red wine that I received because you can specify on there that you usually only drink white wines, which is the case for me, but every now and then I do like to try a red that's more on the sweet side. And I think so far my favorite bottles that I've tried have been the Spriggan Rosé and this Pinot Grigio. I mean, usually that tends to be the case with me. I like the really sweet Moscatos, the Pinot Grigios, the Rosés, but I'm very excited because Bright Cellars is giving my followers 50% off their first 6-bottle box plus a bonus bottle. So that's 7 bottles of wine in total for only $53, which is crazy value. So please follow the link in my description to go and take the quiz and get started. So once again, thank you so much to Bright Cellars for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get to the wine taste testing and the book sampling, shall we? Let me send you back to last night. Tonight's video is going to be kind of different from something that I've done before because I wanted to do a try a chapter for a bunch of different thrillers that I'm really excited about because there are so many thrillers on my TBR, and so I thought it'd be helpful for me to try and read all of these different first chapters, see what I'm in the mood for, and just to get a taste of all of the different thrillers that are high up on my TBR. I thought it would be fun to pair this with the Bright Cellars wine sponsored video because they send me 6 bottles of wine, so I thought it would be so fun to sample all 6 bottles of wine and talk about all 6 first chapters of books, and I just thought it would be like a fun match, a fun time. Nothing pairs better with wine than books. I mean, I said this before, I always agree, and I just think it'd be really fun to try both of these out, let you know my thoughts. Something that I think is very unique to thrillers is that usually their first chapters I find are pretty short and pretty to the point, and it'll immediately let you know the vibe that this book is going for, which I think is something that's really cool, and something that I've done last time in the past when I've done try a chapter book tags with just thrillers. I've rated the book on a scale of 1 to 10 with how gripping the first chapter is, and I think that's a really fun thing to do just because I do think with a thriller time is of the essence, and I think you should be able to grip the reader from the first chapter. The first chapter says a lot about what we're getting ourselves into for the rest of this book, so if I'm not immediately grabbed by that first chapter, do I even want to continue reading it, I don't know. So what books am I going to be trying the first chapter of tonight? The first one I'm going to be trying a chapter of is Razorblade Tears. This is a book that I absolutely plan to read. I've been hearing nothing but good things about it, and I just kind of want to get a taste of what is this book about, For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing. This is a book that I'm reading for Kayla's book club in the month of August, so I'm very excited. I will be reading this one this month, and so I thought it would be fun to get a little taste, just a little bit. I'm also going to be trying a chapter of The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. This is an arc that I have. This book actually goes on sale September 7th, and I'm so excited to jump into this story because I love Lisa Jewell's thrillers, and I hopefully I have a feeling this one will be no different. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, because this is a thriller that just published very recently that I am so excited about. And then off of my phone, I want to read the first chapter for Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda, because if you didn't know, on the iBooks app, you can actually download the first chapter of like any book out there that's available through the iBooks store. Read them free of charge. So if you want to do try a chapter for yourself to see if it's something you would like, you can do that. So I'm going to be reading that one on my phone. And then lastly, the 6th book is going to be 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard, and this is one that I'm excited to try a first chapter of because this is actually my book club pick for the month of September. We'll be reading this book together in September, so I thought it would be a perfect time to just see, to just read one chapter, just the one. Yeah, these are all of the books that I'm planning on trying the first chapter of, which I'm very excited about. Before we get to the books though, I thought I should try one of the wines, like first thing, like let's just go. So this first wine is going to be the Sprig and Rosé. This one looks pretty wonderful, and like some rosés I really enjoy and some are like a little bit too bitter for me. Let's give it a go. I'm spilling everywhere. I don't know why I chose to do this on my bed. I don't want to pour like too much of each of these because I'm gonna have to take sips of all 6 of these. All right, cheers, let's go. Yeah, that one's lovely. It's just light enough that I really enjoy it, because I'm a huge fan of white wines and like the lighter, sweeter stuff, Anything that's like a dark red wine, or if it's like too bitter, I can't take it. Wine has been sampled. Now let's sample one of these books. I think I'm gonna start with 56 Days. So I just finished the first chapter. It was only 4 pages long. It didn't give me too much. But if you didn't know, this book, 56 Days, it's about the early days of COVID. This book takes place at the very beginning of quarantine, which is just intense, This feels very recent. It's very fresh. So the present day chapter is today, and then I can see from the next second chapter that it jumps back to 56 days ago, and I think that's when these people met 56 days ago, like right before COVID started. And in this first chapter, all that's happening is that they're thinking there's like a fire alarm going off in their building. And they said it's like a false alarm, but just like the description of like all the people around, like there's like people, they don't want to gather too close, and then this guy like pulls down his mask, and it's just very much putting you in the scenery of 2020. And I don't know, I feel like because of the fact that this takes place in 2020, like literally during COVID, it's almost like adding to my anxiety about reading this book already. But I also feel like nothing too much really happened in this first chapter, so I feel like I'm gonna give this one like a 6 out of 10 for appeal so far. I'm still really excited to read this in September though. Like I have no idea where this book is gonna go. All right, the next wine that I shall try is this Batik, I think is how you say it. It looks like this. It has a very beautiful label on it here. All of these bottles are already open, by the way, because I opened them yesterday. All right, just a sip, just a sip. Aren't you supposed to like sniff it and like swirl it? Does that do anything? I don't know. This one has like a flavor to it that I feel like would be like more mature, I don't know. It's good though. I really like that. All right, well that's awesome. I am 2 for 2 with the wines I've enjoyed so far, so that's good. I think I'm gonna do Razorblade Tears next, just because I'm so curious and I need to know. Okay, wow, Razorblade Tears. That is how you do a first chapter. Oh my god. It's only 2 pages long, and that's all it needs to be, because this first chapter is so powerful. Like, I immediately want to drop everything and read this right now. So we're following this man named Ike, and he is this black man, and these 2 police officers are like coming up to his door, and he describes his fear with being a black man in America, and these cops walking up to his door, and then his stomach drops because they say, "May we come in?" He's like, "What for?" They're like, "Do you have a son named Isaiah?" And it's like, oh my god, you just know, like something happened to this boy, you just know. And he just said, "What happened to my son, detective?" Already knowing the answer, knowing it in his bones, knowing his life would never be the same. Excuse me, what? That is so sad, so depressing. And this is a 10 out of 10 for a first chapter. Like, this reeled me in right away. I need to know what's gonna happen to them. All I know about like the premise of this book, by the way, it says on the inside flap here, it says a black father, a white father, 2 dead sons, a quest for revenge and redemption. And I feel like this first chapter definitely gave me that. This book is probably gonna be amazing. I've just heard nothing but good things. All right, next up. This one is the Voyage one. This one has one of the most beautiful ass labels that I've ever seen. And I'm pretty sure this is a wine that they did send last time. I can't remember if this is one of the ones I really liked or not. So let's give it a whirl. Ooh. I spill every time I do that. I am not professional by any means. Ooh. This one's intense. It tastes a little bit sour and then it gets you right in the back of your cheeks. No complaints from me for this one, even though I think I prefer the other two of the wines so far. Okay, what is next? What is next? I want to read The Night She Disappeared next. First chapter was only 8 pages long, but I feel like I already have gotten to know these characters in a way just from those 8 pages. We're following this woman named Kim, and she is concerned about her teenage daughter named Tallulah. And it's kind of interesting because Kim talks about how she never really liked kids before she had her own kids, but she still doesn't really like children, and how she's saying she was so taken off guard when her teenage daughter Tallulah had her own child recently. She's taking care of the child, and she's saying how she didn't expect to become a grandmother at the age of 39, and how it just feels too soon, like, because, you know, her daughter has just recently started to grow up, you know, she's a teenager still, and she feels like she just had babies herself, you know, so she's kind of like, this feels too soon, whatever. And then her daughter's like, hey, is it okay if me and this dude go out for a couple of hours, whatever? And she's like, yeah, stay out as long as you like, whatever. And then the chapter ends with her texting the daughter, calling her, not being able to get any response from her, and it's like 4 in the morning, and she's like, what happened to her? Like, where is she? Whatever. And it's just going straight to voicemail, and so she's starting to get suspicious, like, did something happen? Like, what's going on? I am intrigued. I mean, this is probably like maybe an 8 or 9 out of 10 on the intrigue scale for me, because I already feel like I know this character because of how descriptive, like, Lisa Jewell is just so good at writing very like descriptive characters and shit. And I'm intrigued, like, I want to know what the fuck happened to this girl. So I love in thrillers when it just gets right to the point. Like, this is what I'm here for. Yes. I'm very excited to read The Night She Disappeared. I am definitely including this in my August TBRs, so I'm going to be getting to this one sooner rather than later, and that makes me happy. Next, I thought it would be fun to try the red wine. This is the only red wine that they sent, and this is the one that makes me the most nervous because, as I said, I am not a red wine person. This one, you know, you never know. It might be kind of fruity. It might be kind of sweet. Like, it is a very beautiful bottle, if I do say so myself. I really like the ombre fade on both sides. It has this like nice blue. Anyways, let's try a little sip together. Ooh, ooh, that is very red. Oh god, I'm scared. I'm scared. Okay. I don't hate it. It's like red, but it's also kind of sweet. Like, you can still tell that it's a red wine, but you can also tell that it's kind of sweet. So I don't hate it. I actually think so far that I enjoyed this one more than I enjoyed the Voyage one so far. So that's cool. Hey, I found a red that I actually don't mind. Next, I have decided it's time to read For Your Own Good. My lord, I'm already obsessed with this main character just from this first chapter. So this book, the reason why I was really excited to read this book is because it takes place at a prestigious private school, and we're following you know, one of the teachers or like the professors or whatever at this school. And this opening chapter is just so funny because we're following from the point of view of this teacher dude. His name is Teddy, and he's dealing with one of the parents of his students who's coming in, and he's like, why didn't my kid get a freaking A on this paper? Like, my kid deserved an A. And he's like, no, it was like a B plus paper. Like, it was a B. Like, what's the big deal? And the guy's like, oh, can we do anything like extra? Like, can my kid do something to like bump up his grade? And he's like, no. His Teddy's like inner dialogue is just very entertaining. It's almost like the inner dialogue of like somebody who's like a psychopath or something. Like, he's just really interesting and weird. But then it's so funny because at the end of the first chapter he says that, like, he thinks this to himself, but he's like, Zach, which is the student, is a smug little bastard who has no appreciation for anything or anyone except himself. That's why he didn't get an A. His paper was good, damn good. In fact, if Zach were a better person, he would have received a better grade. Like, this teacher is literally judging his student, like his student's paper based on his personality. I don't know, I already feel like I'm gonna love this. Just the way that this is written, it's already just like so captivating, so engaging. And yeah, I feel like I have to give that first chapter like a 9 out of 10. Like, I am sold. I will read this and I will probably love this. I'm just so excited to see where this one could go because I love reading from the point of view of a character like this. It's just so entertaining. All right, next up we are going to try Terraform. Is that Terraform? I think it's called Terraform. It's from California and it's a Pinot Grigio. So this should go well for me, hopefully. Yes, this does still have a tiny tad bit of red wine, but you know, we're gonna roll with it. Oh, it just turned it pink. Should I wash this out? I feel like I should wash this out. Okay, I'm back. I washed it out. I feel like it wouldn't be fair to this wine if it got mixed with the other wine, you know? It's gotta be a fair taste test. All right, let's go. This one was pretty great. This one, I feel like this is one of those ones that would get easier and easier to sip with every sip. I feel like the first sip is a little like, bam, like right in your face, but like in a good way, like not in a bad way. But this one does have a very unique flavor to it that I like. So cool. I'm going to do In My Dreams first, and then I'm gonna read the book on my phone last. Save that one for last. So let's go with this one. This one, just like the last one that I read, also takes place on a college campus, so that should be fun. So In My Dreams I Hold a Knife is super interesting. I don't know if when reading books that like take place on college campuses, I don't know if I like reading from the teacher or the student better. You'll have to let me know what you prefer when you read like dark academia or just like books that take place on a college campus. Like, do you like reading more from like the professor or like the teachers or like that kind of point of view, or do you like reading from the students themselves? Because I don't know, I feel like both are super interesting. But in this book we're following this girl named Jessica Miller, and she is 10 years out of college now in the present day chapters, and she gets this invite kind of like for like a 10-year reunion thing. Like, she's gonna go back and there's gonna be like a ball or something, and she starts to think about how all of her 6 friends were like so close when they were in college, and she's like, none of us ever thought it would end the way it did because one of them was murdered and then one of the other friends was accused of murdering that friend. And so it already sounds like it's gonna be some really great, almost like, you know, like Secret History vibes or something, where like there's a group of friends in college and one of them gets murdered kind of shit. It's also really interesting though because now this character, Jessica Miller, she keeps talking about how she's super successful and she's like the youngest woman to ever get this job position at her job in New York City and stuff like that. And she's almost kind of like narcissistic with how she does about it, because she says she has like 7 copies of like the newspaper articles saying how successful she is, and she like mailed one to her mom, and she sometimes says that she thinks that she actually is perfect, and she just like stares at herself in the mirror and thinks about how perfect she is and how she wants to go back to this reunion to like show everyone how perfect she is now. So like, I don't know, she kind of sounds like she might be one of those narrators who's just like a tad narcissistic and maybe almost untrustworthy as a narrator, because of that, so I really like that. The next chapter also says that it's told in the present day, so I'm wondering if we are going to get chapters that are in the past. Oh, okay, yeah, I just flipped to a random chapter and it says sophomore year, so it does look like it's going to be jumping back and forth between the present day and the past when these people were actually in college. So that's cool. Like, I don't know, I really enjoyed that first chapter. I'd probably give it maybe like an 8 out of 10 on the intrigue scale so far. I just feel like I'm gonna really enjoy this one. Like, I don't know, I just have a gut feeling about it, and God, I feel like I'm gonna enjoy all of these. Like, I'm so excited to read all of these books. Ugh. Okay, and we have made it to the final wine. It's called The Watchkeeper. This one looks really cool. It almost looks like Caesar's Palace in Vegas or something. I don't know. Looks very fancy, so hopefully it tastes very fancy. I love that sound. It's just like... This one's okay. It's a little too bitter for my personal taste. I'm sorry, I'm such a picky bitch. I just really like fruity things. I don't want to be reminded that I'm drinking alcohol when I'm drinking alcohol, you know what I'm saying? That was just a tad bit intense, but it's okay because I have an Almond Joy on hand. This is perfect. This is just gonna take that bitter taste right out of my mouth. Almond Joys are the best candy, okay? You can fight me, but I'm right. Right, I just have the one book left to read. I'm reading this one on my phone. This is on my e-reader, so I don't know the actual number of pages, but it says I have 16 pages left of the first chapter, so this might be the longest first chapter out of all of them that I've read so far. We'll see. It's fun. Okay, sadly, this was probably my least favorite first chapter out of all of the books that I've read so far. And I don't know if it's because it felt like it was unnecessarily kind of long and it just felt like it was dragging, like I was honestly getting kind of bored just reading this first chapter, so that's not a great sign. But I also am like trying to figure out what this book was even about because I don't even know if I know the general description, but from that first chapter we're just following this woman who kind of like hears something in her kitchen, and then she finds out that this girl Ruby Fletcher just got out of prison, even though they weren't expecting her to get out of prison for a while, I guess, because she committed this crime that happened in their neighborhood. And she's just like in her kitchen being like, yeah, where's all my stuff, and like whatever. I don't know, so far I'm not super intrigued just by that first chapter. Like, I feel like this one is gonna go a little bit lower on my TBR than all the other ones. I feel like I would give this first chapter like a 4 out of 10 on the intrigue level, because something that I do find with thrillers, like I know I'm such a picky bitch, but I really like short chapters and thrillers because I love to feel like I'm flying through the pages and just getting through it. And I do feel like you can write a really interesting short first chapter in a thriller. Like, I want you to get right to the point. Like, I don't want to be reading for like 16 pages about this girl. I know I sound like I'm complaining and being so picky, but so far it's okay. I just don't really see me caring about these characters a whole lot either. And I've never read anything by Megan Miranda, so I don't know if it's just like her writing style that I don't vibe with. Like, I don't know. But what a pity to end on kind of a bummer, because I really do feel like all of these books that I own physically, like I am so freaking hyped. I mean, I know like the first chapter of 56 Days was just okay. Like, I didn't hate it. It was just fine. But these 4, I am so impressed by their first chapters. Like, they have me wanting to pick up these books immediately. I was also planning to include Not a Happy Family for this video originally, but I actually have already finished reading this book because I read the first chapter of it and I couldn't stop reading it. It was just so interesting. And this one is about these 3 siblings who their parents get murdered, and their parents are like super freaking rich, and there's like a huge inheritance for all of them, and they all had like issues with their parents, so they all had a motive to kill their parents. And then we follow from the point of view of all 3 of the different siblings as they're trying to figure out like which one of them maybe killed their parents. And it's just so entertaining, and it was just such a quick thriller, you know. It was just so good. It's so engaging and just like interesting. I just had to read it all within like 1 or 2 sittings. So yeah, this already happened. That is all for this video. Out of all of these books, I think the most engaging first chapters personally for me, like the ones that I do want to read immediately, are going to be these two books, like Razorblade Tears and For Your Own Good. These were such good first chapters that I am kind of sad that I'm not going to start reading these books immediately tonight, because I do have plans to read Razorblade Tears for an upcoming video that's kind of specific that I have to wait a little bit on, but it'll still be happening this month hopefully. And then I don't want to read For Your Own Good too soon because I'm reading this for Kayla's live show, so I kind of want to wait to read this closer to the end of the month so that I don't forget everything for the live show. So yeah, that is all for this video. Let me know your thoughts on what you think about doing videos like this again in the future and what you think of this cozy setup. If you haven't noticed, I've kind of changed the layout of my room and I'm still trying to figure out what I like, but I really like this kind of cozy setup. I really love these lights I have in the background, and I would love to know if you would like to see this become more of a regular thing on my channel, like trying the chapter of a couple of thrillers while also sampling wines or something like that. Or I could also sample like other things that you would like me to sample. I don't know. All ideas are welcome, and I could even change the genre too. Like, it doesn't have to be thrillers that I try, but thrillers just seem the most fun and they just pair really well with wine, and I don't know how to explain that, but it just makes sense, you know, it makes sense. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've read any of these 6 books, then please let me know your thoughts. Let me know which one you think that I would personally enjoy the most, because I would love to know your opinion on that, and let me know if you've read a few of these, which one is your favorite out of all of these. Thank you so much for watching this video and for hanging out for a bit, and I will see you very soon with another one. Bye.
What are we fighting for? I can't do this no more. Heading towards the door. Yeah, what are we fighting